I got another live chat for you guys. We are in a vehicle in an undisclosed location, ready to talk about Cyberpunk. And I have upped production quality by getting a suction cup arm thing that connects to the phone. So, yeah. So none of that shaky Blair Witch Project stuff this time. Before we begin, make sure you guys join the Discord community where we have all kinds of people ready to talk about Cyberpunk with you, to give you tips, help you out, connect you with games, and really just be able to connect with people that love the same game as you. The link will be in the description below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JonJonTheWise all over the place. Ooh, I forgot to do a podcast. I totally forgot that I. All right, I'm gonna do one tonight. Uh, sorry, at JonJonTheWise on all social media. And make sure you guys subscribe to my podcast, Tabletop Cyberpunk, which I forgot to do an episode over the weekend. I knew I forgot something, but I'll do one tonight, I promise. And make sure you guys, it's a podcast about Cyberpunk. That's all you got to know. And I also have a Patreon. If you guys want to help me out on the Patreon, patreon.com/JonJonTheWise. I am extremely humbled by the people that have been joining that Patreon. We just had our first Patreon only game. It was incredibly successful. It was a session 0, but it was fun. And speaking of that game, here's one of my players, Nihilus Astalon. Hey, must be warmer. No beanie. I got the beanie right here. But yeah, it is warmer. I'm probably going to take this jacket off too. You know what? But it does have a company logo. Can you see it? I don't. Kind of want to keep things anonymous so I don't get doxxed. Let me see. Does it have a company logo? Yeah, it does. All right. I guess this is staying on today. All right. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for watching. Those of you that are watching the VOD. And I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Hope you guys had many games played. I hope that it's been a fun week for you. I'm starting your week off with some more Cyberpunk. If you're just as obsessed with me, then you're welcome. But yeah, life is good, man. I've been running a lot of games lately. I got a one-on-one game. I got the Patreon game. I'm ramping up the Wise Guys game. And I'm ramping up my setting. I'm a little bit overwhelmed with all the ideas I have in my head. And it's one of those things, paralysis by analysis. That's what they call it. When you have a bunch of things that you want to do and then you end up doing none of them because you're just overwhelmed with all the ideas that you have. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I want to make a new video. I forgot to do my podcast. I need to get back on that fucking horse and ride it into the sunset. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, other than that, ready to talk about Cyberpunk. Anything you guys have? People are piling into the chat right now. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and inform the people. Okay, back. Sorry about that. Just wanted to blast it out that I'm here. Played a game on Saturday with Hornet's twin Wasp. She's not favored by the dice gods like Hornet is. What's up, AB Coates? Hornet, I've yet to see how cool Hornet can be and the cool things that she can do, but I'm excited. You guys have some really cool backstories. I haven't read your document yet, though. I need to read your backstory thing. Happy Monday, Manta. How you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. And great to see all of you. Yeah, it's fun to take everybody's backstory, the character backstories, and try to figure out a way to connect everything and get a plot device going. So I'm currently in that process. If you guys have seen my campaign building series, the part of the process that I'm in right now is the sentence process, where I have created a sentence. You still holding your phone, or did you get a holder? I got a holder. No hands. As you can see, that's why it's so stable and doesn't look like the Blair Witch going on. So yeah, up the production quality on this live chat. The sun is like directly to my left. Let me see if I can do one of these. It did nothing. All right, sweet. Do I have something I could put? I can put my beanie. Yeah, let's try that. It's just the sun's in my eyes. Played a game of 2020 yesterday. Heard a lot. I scored a lot of headshots. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, 2020 is that's what 2020 is all about. All right. Let's get this beanie up here. Perfect. Just enough. Oh, you can see it dangling too. How fun is that? Agent upgrade equals mag mounts. Yeah, actually, that's what this is. This is a magnetic mount thing. I don't know, man. I just got whatever we could from Amazon. The wife was like, "Here, take this," and I said, "Yeah, that's good." So yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about Cyberpunk, fire away. I am here to talk about it. It's one of my favorite subjects, obviously. Lately, I've been getting into a lot of Warhammer. Like, I've been back onto my painting, back onto models, assembling models, and I'm back on reading books. And it's just such a rich, awesome lore. It's like right up my alley, dude. War and bolters and British voices. So yeah, I've been super into that. Been playing Red weekly, running a netrunner with martial arts. Martial arts are highly effective, so fun. Yeah, that's actually one of the examples that I've told people is you can play a netrunner that knows martial arts. And because the interface role ability is not connected to any of your stats anymore, that you can literally just run a martial artist netrunner. And I love that. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you're having a lot of fun with it. And martial arts are extremely effective. The fact that you can ignore armor with your hands and feet, and you can totally avoid concealing weapons because, you know, you are a weapon, that is a big deal. They made it really powerful. And in fact, James Hutt has like the most powerful character. Obviously he made the game and he's a power gamer himself. So he's made the most powerful character be a MedTech martial artist that gives itself boosts and also has a linear frame, so it has a body 12. So that means it does 4d6 damage, ignoring half armor, rate of fire 2. I mean, fucking insane. Without having to conceal anything. Infernox Ratchet, how you doing? Thanks again for recommending Foundry. No problem. Foundry has not sent me a check, but they did thank me on Twitter for that awesome video that I made. But yeah, it's an awesome platform. I love it. Got any recommendation on making a sword-only melee character that doesn't use stealth? Okay, so doesn't use stealth. Does that mean that they kick down doors and come in? Are they like Highlander with a big giant claymore, two-handed sword kind of thing? Or what's the deal? That's the kind of questions you need to ask is what kind of character do you want to make in that sense? You want to have high dexterity, high melee, high evasion, a high move stat so you can get around quickly. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and you're going to want a high reflex stat so you can dodge bullets. So if you're willing to tank everything else, like cool, intelligence, tech, Jesus Christ, and any of the other stats that are out there, you can tank those. Then yeah, you'll be an amazing combatant on the battlefield. But yeah, maybe a little more detail. Let us know. Let me know what you think, and I'll let you know some more details on that. You definitely want to probably make a MedTech because then you can make those crazy a MedTech or a solo, because a MedTech can take drugs. Solo, you can take some synth coke to make your reflex better and stuff like that. Maybe up resist torture drugs so you can keep passing that test. But and the solo also has some really cool abilities where they do a lot of damage on their first hit. So if you want to make a sword using melee character, I would definitely either go medtech or solo. And reflex, dexterity, move are the top 3 stats. Melee, evasion, and resist torture drugs are the next 3. So you can take drugs and be boosted. That's my power gaming corner for you. I got one for you. Do the negative penalties of heavier armor stack, or does just the highest penalty apply? I'm pretty sure the highest penalty only applies. It's just that they used to in 2020, they had this fucking chart where like if you layered armor, it would make you would have to like have encumbrance value, and then there was like a chart that told you exactly how much armor you had at the end of the day. I'm so glad that they got away from that, and instead they're like the highest piece of armor you have is your highest armor. My buddy that played 2020 with me hates that. He's like, "What do you mean? What if I wear layers? Then that means nothing." And I'm like, "Dude, game balance, all right? Game balance. Why do you want to consult a chart? Why do you want to sit there and try to figure out how many layers you can wear and stuff like that?" It just got way out of hand. It got way, way out of hand. Everything you mentioned, I've done, so feeling good with the path I went down. Thanks for that. Yeah, no problem. There you go. So you already got it down. Wanted to make the Netrunner I have hit harder with the cyberware, but my humanity will take a hit. Haven't learned much on therapy. Any thoughts on therapy? Used it yet to any degree? Yeah, one of my players decided to do therapy. It's a great tool to gain some more humanity. And that's pretty much the only way you can do it is doing that or having a high empathy stat at character creation so you can take more cyberware. But yeah, that's definitely something you should explore, something you should talk to your GM about to see how they feel about how you're supposed to do it. Do they want you to role play it? Do they want you to just, hand wave it like, yeah, you went and did your therapy and that's it? Or whatever, that's up to your GM, that's up to you. And yeah, it's a great way. I'm glad that they added therapy to the game. I remember all of that. Thank God they removed it. I know, man. I'm so glad. What's up, Bronx? How you doing, buddy? Thank you so much for joining us, dude. Gotcha. Thanks for the advice. We'll get up on it more. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool in between session things that you can do with Cyberpunk Red that we had to homebrew with Cyberpunk 2020. But in Cyberpunk Red, there are like actual mechanics for in between session things like the hustle chart, therapy, stuff you can do with the tech, even night market shopping or things like that. You can feasibly just do that in between sessions. I have an episode that I did with the Wise guys where we explored that. It's called Downtime, and basically we just talked about like what is your character doing now, how are they making money and stuff like that. Just FYI, the patch notes for CP 2077 1.2 released today. Oh, okay. Anything major? Anything interesting? Hello, guys. Just ran Cyberpunk. How are you? How do you feel about factions? Maxfield doing well. Thank you very much. How do you feel about factions in Cyberpunk, like teaming up with the Italian mafia to fight against the Yakuza? I love it. I think you should be doing that for sure. Teaming. I love a massive time of notes. Okay, cool. I love making factions. I love figuring out how everybody deals with the dark future, how they come together, how they do things, and how big their organizations are, how powerful they are. And I love it. I love that kind of thing. A massive tome of notes, 20 pages long. Oh shit, that's nuts. My God, I can't type. Yeah, but I love doing that, dude. I love sitting there and trying to figure out especially since the game kind of especially with the fixer, they focus on cultural things like what kind of culture are they, what language do they speak, are they how powerful are they, all those things I love to explore. And I'm actually doing a lot of that world building myself for my Patreon and Wise Guys campaign, for my world book that I'm writing. It's like basically what I did was I went to the wiki of each place, the real wiki of the actual cities that I'm writing about. And I decided, okay, let me read up on it. For example, apparently Plano, Texas has a large population of Chinese Americans. So I took that and I was like, all right, there's three big Chinese American gangs. It's like a triad. Let's break them down. One is run by two brothers. Another one is run by like this fanatical group. Another one is blah blah blah. So like I just figured out just from that one sentence of Plano, Texas has a large population, a predominantly large population of Chinese Americans. That set me off on a whole path of like, okay, so this place is going to be like pretty much like a big Chinatown, and that's what I did. So yeah, I love factions. We have been using Discord to run downtime in between sessions for healing, side things we want to accomplish, etc. And then character channel works well. Discord is one of those amazing things, exactly for that reason, where you guys can communicate with each other. You could even have bots like run things for you. I love that about Discord. I'm right there with you. Oops, I almost killed the battery on this car. So yeah, I highly recommend having some kind of chat thing with your buddies, even if you're playing in person. 507 listed changes. Jesus. Yeah, I got to check that out. Yo, what's up, Twiggy? You're not late at all. I just started 16 minutes ago. How do I get my MedTech more opportunities in combat other than healing up people and using a trank gun? Healing people? You mean with speed heal? That stuff is usually not something I see. I'm afraid I'm not giving him enough options. Look, you got to think about it this way, all right? At the end of the day, every character in Cyberpunk is a human being that needs to be able to defend themselves. So the opportunities that come with your medtech have nothing to do with their role. You need to kind of get out of that D&D mentality where it's like the cleric heals, the tank takes damage, the sorcerer is a glass cannon. Forget about all that. What is your character? What is their style? Forget about what class they are, what roles, what abilities. Get away from all of that and try to figure out what opportunities that character can take to change things. The only real supportive role in Cyberpunk is the Netrunner, because they have a whole different thing that they're doing. The MedTech, yeah, they have drugs that they can administer, and that's supportive too. But most of the time, they're not going to be doing that. Most of the time, you're going to be like, yeah, I need to use my shotgun, I need to use my assault rifle, and we'll worry about healing when we're out of combat. And while on the other hand, the net runner really is in a supportive role, hacking the net and trying to figure out how they can help their party. But everybody else, from the media, medtech, tech, solo, lawman, all of them use guns and melee weapons to defend themselves. And as far as combat goes, it's supposed to be gritty, action packed, and it doesn't matter what your background is, what your specialties are. If you don't know how to use a gun and you don't know how to use a melee weapon, you're going to be left in the dust no matter what role you've taken. What's up, Tricky? Good to see you. Need to get my techie up to speed on adding an extra option slot to my Netrunner's poor cyber deck. That's great. Drive to work was just fine, Twiggy. Did you find any roadside bombs? Yeah, that was nuts. We tested out my open road travel mini game with the Patreon. It went really well. It actually told a cool story. It was like roadside bomb. They avoided it. Then there was an ambush. They fought off those guys. It was an easy ambush. Then there was another roadside bomb, and that was all for a luck of the dice to figure out what obstacles they came up against. So that tells you a story that in their 2-hour journey, there was like a two bombs and an ambush in the middle of it. So that tells you that like whoever this group was real kind of organized, and they were trying to get people that are driving on this road, and the players totally foiled their plans. It was great. Any medtech uses a sword and shotgun and Rex. My medtech uses sword and shotgun and Rex face. That's with the drugs and all that stuff, it's insane. Medic with high auto fire to keep enemy away is a cool twist on do not harm. Oh yeah, suppressive fire. Yeah. That's a great idea. Hoping Black Chrome gives an idea on material since Techie is such a heavy potential class. Yeah. Hope Black Chrome has a lot of cool things like that for us, because I'm super interested in what they can do. What's something cool or unique that you've seen techs make? Well, in my Wise Guys campaign, we made a guitar that has an axe blade and a flamethrower in it. We made a baseball bat with a grenade in the handle, a spot where you can put a grenade in the handle, which basically mechanically means that the player can pull out a grenade for a free action and toss it. Only one grenade. And at the end of that baseball bat, there's like a rotating saw blade that does AP -2 or -2 to armor piercing. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, other than that, I haven't done anything else. I'm willing to listen to anybody's suggestions on what kind of cool techie stuff you can make. Still thinking of giving Cyberpunk Red a choice, but not sure how it compares to other tabletops like D&D. What are the best pros of it other than theme? Man, that's a big question. Okay, let's see. What is it? Essentially, at the core, every tabletop game is the same. You're rolling dice, you have your characters have specialties that they're good at, and you solve problems using your characters and the dice. You're going to get that with Cyberpunk Red no matter what. The only difference between Cyberpunk Red and D&D is other than the theme and tone of it is it's fast-paced action when it comes to combat. Each turn is 3 seconds in game time instead of 6 seconds like in D&D. There are no attacks of opportunity in combat. Everything is on a D10 basis, so that means that there's a 10% chance of critically failing. And the way that works is if you roll a 1 on a D10, then you got to roll another D10, and whatever that result is, you reduce from your total. And so that means there is no fumble chart. But if you fail, you can fail miserably, even though you are skilled. It's a very skill-based game. So you start. Let me backtrack a little bit. So in D&D, you start at level 1, and you are still pretty powerful at level 1 compared to what you should really be, in my opinion. But in Cyberpunk, a starting level character is a veteran. Like, they have experience. They've been through some shit, especially if you go through the life path. It assumes that you've had an entire 2 campaigns of life before you even started your game. So you start at a high skill level, and you get to choose what skills are the ones that make you better than everybody else, and you specialize. So it's a high skill game. There's like certain skills that you're almost never going to fail because you chose those skills to be your specialty. But there's always that 10% chance that you'll roll a 1 and even fail those skills. So Cyberpunk Red is because it's a D10 system, everything is 1 to 10 as far as like how you grade things. Because of that, it's very much like you can be confident that your character can do certain things. You're confident if your character's like a techie that they can repair something. Where like you play games like Starfinder or other D20 systems like D&D, that you don't know because it's very the D20 is a lot more broad as far as its success rate and stuff like that. So I mean, what else? In Cyberpunk Red, there's a lot of focus on role play and the story and being clever. In D&D, you can still do that. I mean, if your game master allows for like clever ideas. But Cyberpunk, in D&D, when you see an enemy, combat initiates. You kill the enemy, you take their shit, you get XP, rinse and repeat until you level up. And leveling up is a very important aspect of D&D. In Cyberpunk, you see an enemy, and the first thing you think is, who is that person? Is killing them a good idea? What kind of consequences will there be from killing them? You're not even thinking about XP or IP as in Cyberpunk Red. You're thinking about, how can I be careful not to lose my character, not to die, not to cause collateral damage that will affect my entire party, not just me? How can I infiltrate this place and be smart about it and make it more advantageous to me before even pulling out my gun? So there's a lot of that kind of problem solving with Cyberpunk than there is with D&D. D&D is like, it feels more of like how powerful can my character get over time by killing as many foes as I can. In Cyberpunk, it's about how can I solve this problem and how can I focus on my exploring my character and plot points and making it a rich story and having memories with each other of how we were so clever in getting through the story and stuff like that. So I hope that was a better way of explaining. It was a long-winded way. Good morning, Stephen Odinson. How's it going? Thought Twiggy was in the military. It's a deep system, but very easy to learn. It only uses 2 dice, D10 and D6. Yeah, D6 is for damage, D10 is for skills. It allows players to take deep, characterized backstories while also focusing on the stuff they want to skill-wise. Yep, couldn't have said it better. Flexibility, tactical combat. Yeah, you guys are all answering. Doing a great job. How do you feel about a radio instead of blaring the normal synth? How do you feel about having optional radio stations like an 80s station, a talk show, another? And they can talk about the PCs. Yeah, I do that all the time. At the end of our campaign, in the middle of our campaign, my rocker boy is like, hey, I'm sending messages to my radio station contact in Night City to let them know about our exploits and what's going on with Biotechnica so they have dirt on them. And basically, what I, as a game master, I thought to myself, oh man, I better make a cool radio broadcast on that subject. And so I did do that. I went and I went into my Ableton, my music making software, and I basically made like a radio broadcast, a pirate radio broadcast of all the exploits that my players had went through, and they loved it. It was great. It was in game. They felt immersed, and they also thought it was hilarious. So I love doing stuff like that. For example, most of the class's special abilities deal with RP and world building rather than combat. Yep. Yo, Zombie Banana, welcome back. AW, the radio broadcasts in 2077 are cool. I love them. Yeah, I love that Mike is the conspiracy theory guy. There are a few that are voiced by Mike himself. Jinx got it. Also in Cyberpunk, your arsenal can change depending on if you need a concealable weapon. Yeah, that's the other thing. You're walking into a place where they're like, in D&D, you walk into a tavern with your sword holstered, no one bats an eye. They don't care. In Cyberpunk, you walk into a place with your gun holstered. They're like, whoa, what are you doing, dude? Just gonna walk in with that fucking thing? Yeah, what do you mean? I mean, it's illegal to carry a firearm. Yeah. It might be legal, but we don't allow that kind of shit in this club. All right? This is a safe. The only people that have guns are us, the security. So if you're going to walk into this place, you got to leave your gun at the door. And that's where hiding your weapon is very important. And I always have my players do a conceal reveal skill before they walk into a place. And the NPCs will have to do a perception check versus that number that they rolled with the conceal reveal. That adds a new element of like you try to hide your gun, but you couldn't hide it. Or an assault rifle is way too big to bring with you inside a place. So that might be a 5d6 weapon that you carry around all the time. Well, in this place that you're about to walk into, they know that's a 5d6 weapon. They don't want you walking in with that. So you got to bring your pistol, you got to bring your light SMG or a concealable melee weapon or something like that to protect yourself. Let's see. That's really good response on comparisons to D&D. By the way, thanks. Good insight. I didn't hear from elsewhere on the game. Glad to be able to do it, Kushse. Thank you so much for that question and being a part of this chat. Let's see. Cyberpunk is twice as hard to GM. PCs have more impact, so you have to think on your feet. Like so far as impact on the world goes. Yeah, D&D has a pretty good way with its combat rating for the DM to be able to figure out how they can balance things. I don't know if it's completely perfect. Some people would argue that it's terrible. But if you read like adventure books, they have everything. I'd say Paizo probably did it the best, just from third party watching actual plays and stuff like that. They did a pretty good job of tuning fights to make them super fucking challenging. But in Cyberpunk, you can't really do that. There's so many different possibilities of enemies, and it does. There's no like. That's why I made the 3 goon method of easy, average, elite, because I needed to have some type of granularity where I can be like, all right, these are guys that they can handle. These are guys that are average, so there might be a little bit of danger to them. And then these are guys that'll give them a challenge. So there's maybe another level past elite, which is like dangerous or cyber psycho or whatever you want to call it. And that I haven't really, that I pull out every now and then. I don't really make it a big part of my campaigns. All right, lethal system. My first character got killed in the first combat due to stupid player decisions. Yep, that's the thing. I prefer GMing Cyberpunk. Yeah, me too, Tricky. It's a big learning curve, but it's 100% worth. Yeah, it gives you a lot of freedom. The system has been designed in a way to give you a lot of freedom to be able to make decisions on the fly to change the entire game and not have to worry about rules as written or anything like that. It's getting really hot in here. Hold on, guys. Let me take off my sweater. Hold on one sec. Jesus. It got hot real quick today. You know what? And in fact, let me put this shirt on the windshield. Yeah, I gotta fucking roll down the windows, dude. Give me a second, my dudes. Jesus Christ. It's hot today, dude. Can you guys see the company logo? Not really. Okay, good. No doxing for me. Let's get some windows down, get some air in here. All right, sorry about that. How do you do villains? Right now, I'm doing the typical bad guy, and I'm trying to make the players hate them. But I also heard about sympathetic villains. How do you feel? Yeah, I try to do the whole gambit. I want to do obvious bad guy. I want to do ally that turns into a bad guy. I want to do the big bad. There's different ways you can do it. There's some where you're like, the bad guy is, if the bad guy is a giant corporation, there isn't one guy that you can go after, and it's like no matter what you do, that corporation's still going to be around. You can inconvenience them, and you can make sure that one corporate that is trying to push one agenda, you can stop them, or a group of corporates. You could stop an agenda. You can sabotage an agenda, but to sabotage the entire corporation is really, really hard because they're global, and no matter what happens in your little city or little pocket of story, there's always going to be something else happening somewhere else. So as far as bad guys go, I always try to keep it a little bit personal, and instead of saying that they're against Biotechnica, which they are, like they are up against Biotechnica, but they're up against a few executives that are part of Biotechnica that are in charge of doing an agenda within that area, and the players are foiling that agenda. How is Amber Oasis and the Texas Rangers coming along? It's coming along really well. I have a lot of work to do still, but I've been exploring a lot of aspects of it and having fun with it. The Texas Rangers are great. They're fun. I'm still dipping my toes in it. We barely had like maybe 1 hour of actual gameplay revolving around my setting, but it's coming along. We'll see how it goes. Check back with me in a month. Concealability is why leg holsters are good. I love it. Yep. I've told my players that's allowed. Oh God. All right, John. What is the ammo capacity of a Mr. Stud? Can I use a 40mm grenade with it? I'd say yes. Why not, dude? What movie was that? Was that From Dusk Till Dawn, where he had like a revolver where his crotch was? Yeah, I'd like that idea of retrofitting or changing the what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Modifying a Mr. Stud to be a grenade launcher. That's fun. You got to be really careful about that, though. In my plot, my villain is the new boss of the Nomad group. After the last boss died, I'm doing a corruption of power thing with it mixed with being incapable of keeping things together. I like that. That's awesome. Goblin fart. Damn, the Steam just got steamy. That was hard to say. Should you have done it on cam and start OnlyFans? Yeah, you guys really got to pay for those goodies. Look at Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm basically doing that. Nice. Winter is going away. What's up, Neko? How you doing? Have you watched the first season of Altered Carbon? Yes. Not exactly the same world as Red, but similar. The elites, the grimy steel, street level, populace, etc. Great world to pull themes and ideas. I love the first season of Altered Carbon. The story was fun. The setting was amazing. Then the second season, they used the same fucking plot. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would you use the same plot? The whole first season, he was trying to find his girlfriend that became a freedom fighter. Then he found her and she died. Okay, second season, what's the plot? He's trying to find his girlfriend that died and she's a freedom fighter and she's still alive. What the fuck, man? Get past the girlfriend. Let's do something else. Forget about it. Why are we still doing the same story? I really, really hated that. I was like, what the fuck? Why are you doing the same fucking story as season one? I really don't understand that. They changed a few things here and there, but it wasn't enough change for it to be interesting. I haven't watched the anime either, but that really turned me off from the storyline. It is really fun to look at though. It's fun to do that. An ally that turns into a bad guy takes notes to not trust John John. Exactly. Can I tactically reload my Mr. Stud? Dude, I'll never stop you. Total letdown for season 2 was so disappointing. I know, man. I know. I'm right there with you. I kind of want to see a live action Cyberpunk series set in Night City. Yeah, they're doing that anime for Cyberpunk 2077. I'm excited about that. I love anything Cyberpunk related. So if there's something new that is Cyberpunk, I'm definitely going to check it out. So yeah, T. But yeah, if you want to fast reload, fast reload your grenade launcher. Studio Trigger anime. I hope it's good. I'm not really well versed on the animes, so I don't know if that's a great studio or anything like that. Altered Carbon animation was good. It was different than the live action. I'm glad it was. I still have to give it a shot. What is that? Trauma Team would be a rad subject for a series. Yeah, I agree. I would love to see a Trauma Team or just a cops one, just a generic cops one, or like we're exploring nomads in my setting. That's fun. Corporate. I would love to see a corporate one. Like what is going on with a corporation? How about a corporation that's actually trying to be the good guys? That's starting from the bottom up. That's something in Cyberpunk Red. I'd love to see that. I've yet to have a corporate or exec player. I would love to explore those ideas too. Live PD, but in Night City. Oh my God. That would be amazing. How do I incorporate the skill accounting? So accounting, I would use that as a supportive skill. So there's such a thing in Cyberpunk Red in the core rulebook called complementary skills. And this is where you use one skill to give you a bonus on another skill. So for example, this is something that I use in combat. Um, or no, let's use a different example. So let's say my net runner wants to modify like a vehicle, like break into a vehicle's computer and try to figure out how it works. So he uses land vehicle tech, and that's how he breaks into the vehicle. But he also wants to figure out how he can look through the computer that is within the vehicle, and that is like a library search. So he uses his library search, and as a GM, I give him a difficulty value, let's say 13. He passes it. I go, okay, you get a +1 to your vehicle tech. Now do your vehicle tech roll. He does the vehicle tech roll, and then he passes that with the +1, and that's how complementary skills work. So with accounting, I would do the exact same thing. If you want to find dirt on somebody and try to figure out how they do their books, or whatever, you break into some guy's office and his computer is there, the net runner goes through the computer and he's trying to do his hacking thing, and you use your accounting knowledge to help the net runner. They're like, hey, I'm here, I'm in the system, what am I looking for? Okay, do your accounting check. I passed the DV15. All right, your character knows that this and this and this is what you're looking for specifically to be able to tell whatever knowledge you can from their accounting. Look at this in their books, look for that. So now the netrunner has a clue on what to look for as a supportive skill. So that's how I would use accounting and those kinds of skills. MedTechs, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come heal you? MedTechs, hell yeah. Become taxman, Night City's greatest vigilante. I use accounting to commit tax fraud. That's awesome. This thing is getting warm, isn't it? That's fine. Do you add any of your own skills in Cyberpunk? I'm not sure what that means exactly. Can you clarify, Zombie Banana? How would you recommend making a character that uses heavy armor? It seems like in general the heavier armors are pretty bad because of the stat penalties. Well, it is bad because of stat penalties, but think about this. If you have a SP14 armor, anything like 3d6 and below is probably not going to pierce you. I mean, what's 3d6? 6 times 3, 18. So they got to get a it's I don't know the math on that, but it's really hard to get a 14 plus on 3d6. Really, really hard. So you got to use like a melee weapon and stuff like that. So in that sense, it's awesome, especially if you have like a pop-up shield or some kind of shield with you. I can justify using the heavy armor. To be honest with you, if I'm being real, I don't see how any player would want to use heavy armor, but I can see why NPCs would use armor just to make combat more interesting. Or if you find a piece of heavy armor that gives you negatives, you can ask a tech to modify it. If you want to be a power gamer, you can get a tech to modify it so you don't get any of those penalties. It's up to GM discretion if they would allow you to do that. I would personally, but it would have to cost a lot of money to do that as a sacrifice. And but yeah, as far as it goes with heavy armor, I don't see players taking it just because of the negatives that you incur, but I can see NPCs taking it just to fuck with the players and give them more of a challenge in your combat scenarios. All right, Maxfield, have a good one. How do you feel about disturbing scenes like torture or being trapped in a weirdo's basement? Torture, I don't mind. Um, it just depends. Gore and stuff like that, I think is fun. I come from loving Warhammer, so I love the grim dark stuff like that. But as far as I guess there's a line, there's always a line. Sexual acts and sexual stuff like that, I just stay away from it personally. But it's just not something I want to explore. It kind of makes me uncomfortable, and it's weird when a bunch of sweaty dudes are talking about interacting and role playing sex with each other is really fucking weird to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it. But yeah, as far as like torture and stuff like that, it can get a little bit out of line. There's a line to cross. You definitely want to have trust with your players. You want to know your group. If this is a group that you haven't played with before, don't just like bust that onto them out of nowhere. You want to have that conversation beforehand and let them know like, hey, we might explore these kinds of themes. How do you guys feel about it? And yeah, and go from there. At least you have a jumping off point where you know that you're not offending anybody and you're not causing anybody to be uncomfortable, because the worst thing you can do when you guys are about to play a game is ruin the night because of some subject that you wanted to explore and nobody else did. It can really ruin the night. I think there's actually a really famous infamous story with Adam Coble. I'm sure you guys are familiar with. There was like a whole Kotaku article or Polygon article about it, where he was running a game on his YouTube channel, and all of a sudden, like, he raped one of the characters. Like, one of the NPCs raped the characters, and the other players were like, "What the fuck?" Like, the sexual assault came out of nowhere, and everyone was like shocked. Like, dude, did you seriously just do that? And it caused this giant backlash. Now he's canceled. He was a part of like some project. That project got canceled. I mean, it was a big shitstorm. So definitely he fucked up on realizing like you got to know your group. If you're going to do an online game, people are probably not going to be down with that. You're going to put it on YouTube. Most people are not down with that kind of shit. So I would say know your group, know your setting, know who's watching, and go from there. You gotta do a lot of preparation with that kind of stuff beforehand. Heavy armor, auto fire suppression, walking battlefield control, 100%. That's what I'm talking about. Use heavy armor plus AoE attacks. Shotgun shells work wonders for riot police against low level gangers. Yeah, that's great. I never actually considered that. That's a good idea. For example, I made my own skill called throw specifically for throwing items. Yep, I did the same thing. It's like a homebrew rule. I didn't know if homebrewed some skills at all. Yeah, I actually homebrewed the exact same thing. Barry Ruth for my Wise Guys campaign is a solo that doesn't use guns. And he said, hey, and rules as written, throwing a weapon, the thrown weapon does not ignore half armor. It only does its full damage. So like if it's a 4d6 weapon, it does 4d6 damage, but it doesn't ignore half armor. He said, hey, why don't we reduce the range of how far I can throw a weapon, and as a trade-off that it does ignore half of armor. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. And then funny enough, you didn't hear it from me, but James Hutt told me, like, dude, it's funny you say that because we're actually working on that exact same kind of skill for a future supplement. So I was like, oh wow. So he's like, you're like ahead of us in that thought process. So something like that's coming, which also means they're giving us new skills in the future, which is nuts. What I like to implement is weapon attachments like foregrips, red dots, and muzzle brakes. I love doing stuff like that. I love that. That's a great example. Reflex sight, foregrip, vertical grip, banana clip magazine, or the thing where they put the two magazines together, taped magazine. I don't know what it's called, but that kind of thing. We've all played video games, foldable stocks. I mean, all that stuff should be in your repertoire as a game master, even though it's not rules as written. Yeah, it seems like raw you can stand and take hits, but your ability to kill people is hindered. But with lighter armor, your ability to kill is unhindered. Plus, you dodge everything. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense with heavy armor. Yeah. I know what you meant. Me too. That's so crazy. As for the disturbing stuff, that's why you need an upfront player contract. Yeah, set expectations, as I say. I wish to make a one shot on Cyberpunk Red, but if I buy the book first, not just starter set, would it be reasonable to make my own one shot and teach other players? Yes, Cyberpunk is built for missions. It is built for the game loop that James Hutt designed. Is you get your mission, you complete your mission, you get paid. There's downtime in between that. Rinse and repeat. Get back to it again. Gain IP and rinse and repeat. And that's how the game has been designed with that in mind. So if you want to build a one shot, that's what missions are. Missions are basically a campaign of a bunch of missions is a campaign of a bunch of one shots. And you could pull out of anywhere. I mean, bank heist, that's a one shot. Kidnapping, that's a one shot. Um, rescue operation, that's a one shot. I mean, all these are one shot ideas. What I usually like to do is create a bunch of one shots that are all related to each other and that serve a greater purpose for the plot. And that's how I build my entire campaign. I build it with those building blocks. And my entire campaign as a whole becomes a bunch of one shots that are connected, that have an overarching story. And hopefully, if I do things right, then my characters feel like their life path plot points have also been explored. We had this one player who's always wanted to have sex in the game. It was so cringy, even in the 90s. Yeah, dude, it's really creepy when a bunch of dudes are just hanging out and talking about how they're like sexually assaulting NPCs and stuff like that. It's creepy to me. I don't know. I guess I'm weird, maybe. I'm not weird. Most people agree with me on that. But I'd rather not explore those things. I understand that they're a real part of the world. I understand that it exists. But I mean, come on, dude. Do we like we're playing a game where we're rolling dice and it's all make believe. Why do we have to be so real to include those kinds of things? I'll leave it to even. I don't even like watching movies with that kind of stuff most of the time. It's too disturbing. Like it gives. I have a bad day after it. There's like a movie called Irreversible. It's a French film, and there's a scene in it where a pregnant woman gets raped. It's really fucking terrible, dude. It traumatized me, even though I know it's a fucking movie. I saw that and it traumatized me for the rest of my life. I'll never forget that. So I don't need to see that. You know what I mean? I don't need to see that kind of stuff. I'm fine just having fun with my buddies. Let's see. You kind of consent to disturbing content when you play Cyberpunk. Not really. No, that's not true. Film. I don't agree with that. There's Cyberpunk is whatever you want it to be. It's a story about survival in the dark future. There's some content like maybe gore and violence is a big part of Cyberpunk, but rape and sexual assault and stuff like that doesn't necessarily have to be a part of Cyberpunk. It could be if you want it to be, and if your group is okay with it. Who am I to tell you how to play your game? But from my experience, you don't need any of those themes to be playing in an authentic Cyberpunk world, in my opinion. His life got ruined over a poorly timed joke that was nowhere near sexual harassment. Even the players didn't care until Twitter did, sadly. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see the incident. All I know is everybody wants to cancel him, and because they said they in the Polygon article that I read, they said Adam Coble sexually assaulted with an NPC sexually assaulting one of his players. That's like fucking that sounds terrible. So if you're saying it was like a bad joke, that sounds completely different. I don't know. I'm not here to, cast judgment or anything like that. I'm just relaying whatever information I heard. It sounds like whatever it was, the the YouTube community that he is has garnered, it was not cool with it. Twitter didn't like it. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened. All I know is he got canceled. So if you want to hear how wrong it can go and what not to do as a player GM, go watch some of the stories that Crit Crab reads from Reddit. Holy hell, there's some weirdos out there. Oh, that's interesting. I'd never seen anything like that. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm moving the chat. Yeah, there's some really bad stories out there. Die Hard 2, blue tape, red tape on the magazines. I don't know what that means. Sorry. I just want melee weapon customization, more gun customization, more gun variations, more exotic weapons. I'm pretty sure you're going to get all that with Black Chrome from what I've heard. Raw, there aren't any melee customizations, and that makes me sad as a melee user. Well, that's the thing. Cyberpunk has always been, even from 2020 onward, has always been a game where they expect you to do the work. And I think we're so used to D&D and especially like Paizo games of like everything is accounted for. Every mechanic, every skill has its own mechanics. There's an item for everything that you can do, and we're kind of used to that with RPGs. Where Cyberpunk is like, hey man, there's too many things to list, so instead of us just sitting here and trying to account for everything, why don't we just give you guys the blueprints on how you can make your own items and stuff like that? And you guys go have at it. Make whatever you want, make it work. We'll give you kind of guidelines to make sure that it doesn't break the game as much as it could. And that's pretty much it. That's it. And I like that because I'm one of those GMs that does like doing the work, does like putting in customization myself, doesn't like being limited to the book. And to be honest with you, when I cracked open that Starfinder book, I was like, I would never want to fucking run this game, dude. This game was designed for you to run their adventure paths. It's so hard to write your own adventure with Starfinder. There's so many fucking things that you gotta take account for that it's overwhelming. So they're like, no, no, don't worry, we got it all taken care of. They write amazing adventure books. So with a system like that, I'm glad that they have all everything accounted for because it's just too much for me to take in. But a game like Cyberpunk, they have less accounted for, so I can make my own stories, and that's what I really like about it. That's what I did for my first GM game. I just took the hostage rescue from the start of 2077, made that into our first game. Now I'm planning on building from it. Yeah, man. Just change a few things here and there, and you got a great one shot adventure. You can even just steal the plot from any movie or anything like that. Last session, I managed to shoot the media we were trying to bodyguard during a poser gang interview. I shot him right in the goddamn head. My question is there something wrong with handgun? Handguns. How did you shoot the media we were trying to bodyguard? How did you manage to shoot the media? Uh, the only way you can shoot somebody in the head is with an aimed shot in Cyberpunk Red, as far as the rules go. So, accidentally shooting someone on the head was your GM's discretion. Your GM made that happen. That's not part of the rules. If you fumbled and the GM decided, oh, you fumbled, so you missed and you hit the guy in the head, that's something that your GM just came up with. It's not a part of the rules. That's his homebrew, not rules as written. There's no fumble chart, and the only way you can hit somebody in the head is with a named shot. So what rules as written would have told you to do if you rolled a 1 is you would have missed. There's nothing about fumbling and hitting somebody else. There's nothing like that in the book. I don't allow evasion of bullets unless they have a reflex of 6 and a reflex booster like Karenzikov's Speedwear and Sandevistan. Yeah, so it rules as written, you have to have a reflex of 8, and then you can evade gunfire, is how people have said it to me. I hated the idea of it in the beginning as well, but after I realized, like, you know what, they're superhuman. I can kind of see them ducking for cover right before they get shot, and it's not about dodging bullets, more like evading where the gun is pointing. Like the gun is pointing at you, so you dive, and like the bullets like trail you, that kind of thing. So that makes a little bit more sense to me, especially since we have cyberware and all that stuff. So I would have kept it at 8, and if you want to put some kind of limitation with cyberware, then fine, I would have done that too. But 6, I think, is a little too low, because a player like my solo sacrificed a bunch of his stats to be able to have a high reflex so he can evade gunfire. If he didn't have to sacrifice so many and could keep it at a 6, it wouldn't have been enough. I know that the humanity loss with the cyberware is a lot and is steep, but I mean, I don't know. I think I would have kept it at 8. Do whatever you like, have fun with it. If you want customization, go to a tech. They can improve weapons and armor. Exactly. You mentioned the tape magazines earlier. Cool idea to have 2 magazines. Oh, red tape, blue tape. That's what you meant. Different Annie tape, so you can eject, flip the clip, and reinsert. Yeah. I was like thinking of like magazines that you read from and stuff like that. I forgot the thing that I said. I talk too much. I made my own homebrews for melee add-ons: the serrated edge, heated blade, electrified coil, impact module, and such. Yep, those are all great ideas. I love that as well. The heated blade is awesome. I also had this idea of like you have a whip, like a chain whip, you can hit somebody with, grab them with the chain, and then turn on some kind of device and it heats up the chain and does damage to them that way, or electrifies the chain, and then you're some weird like Pokemon guy. Because that's what Pokemon is. Pokemon is just hitting them with different elements, fire, electricity, and that's basically what I'm talking about. I would guess someone was being a little silly with the media headshot. I mean, oh, okay. I agree that D&D and Pathfinder has definitely conditioned us to want more official stuff rather than make our own. Yeah. And you know what? I used to be against that, Twiggy, but now that I've played like an adventure path, or I've looked into the systems and I've made my own homebrew, I realize like there's benefits to everything. There's benefits. It's great that if me and you want to play D&D and I don't have time to make an adventure, that we can just make characters, get a book, like Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and just start playing. They have everything there, maps, everything. There's official support on all kinds of virtual tabletops. I mean, whatever we want. There's even I saw this really cool like 25th anniversary. I think it's 25th anniversary Curse of Strahd book. It comes in like a coffin, and you open it and there's maps and a GM screen and all kinds of crazy shit in it. That's awesome, man. What's to hate about that? You know what I mean? 8 reflexes like gun kata from Equilibrium. Oh man, I love that movie. especially since D&D and Pathfinder make it such a huge chore to make your own stuff. You don't adequately teach you how to do it. They just pseudo force you to use their pre-made stuff. Yeah, which I'm bummed out about that, to be honest with you. It's really tough to homebrew with those without changing a lot. The GM was using a fumble chart. We were surrounded by Tom Cruises. Yeah, so the fumble chart is a homebrew, probably taken from Cyberpunk 2020. We were surrounded by Tom Cruises. I was aiming for the window. I was only joking about the faulty handguns. It was the best interview we ever did. Yeah, yeah. So that fumble chart was a homebrew thing. It's not in the book, which I'm a little bit bummed about, but I get it. I also equate reflex 8 and higher to just having an awareness level that's elevated. Example, Jet Li leans backwards to avoid. Yeah, yeah. So in my mind, I don't like the idea that if you're in point blank range with somebody that you can evade gunfire. But I think if I'm gonna allow people to evade gunfire with a reflex 8 and above, that I have to let them just rules as written evade even in point blank range. I could rule that you can't, but it's just it's an argument because like especially with the character Barry Ruth, he's a melee specialist, and that's why he took a high reflex so he can evade gunfire. If I tell him like, oh yeah, no, you can't because you're in point blank range, I'm now he's like, well, that's my whole character. I'm always going to be in point blank range. So yeah, Nihilus with the $10. Thanks for doing these and answering questions. Here's for the phone mount. Love you, buddy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the 10 buckaroos, man. You're awesome, dude. I appreciate everything that you do, man. So yeah, awesome, awesome. I really appreciate it. Bye, bye, bye. My bad. I meant 8. Oh, instead of 6. Yeah. Alrighty. Have a good one, Nihilus. Yeah. Coffee from Twiggy. Thank you so much for the 5 buckaroos, Twiggy. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna take those eddies and I'm gonna buy some drugs. All right, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Okay, it's just how it is. That's the reality of life. All right. Anything else, guys? Anything else you guys want to talk about? These are great discussions that we have, man. It's really a lot of fun. My phone is getting really warm because it is kind of a hot day. So if I sign off out of nowhere, it's because my phone is telling disconnected the internet. That's what it does when it gets warm. I feel like we are gonna microwave you if you stay for car too. I have the windows cracked, so don't worry. I'm good. Bad, John. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm a dad. I'm boring. I don't do that kind of shit anymore. I've been through all that. I've experienced what life has thrown at me. How about an evasion of at least 6 to dodge range and negative modifier and point blank shots? Nah, I don't like lowering the. I don't like that it exists at all. The fact that it's 8 and up is okay with me, but lowering it to a 6 for any reason, I can't do it, dude. Because you only get to set them. You can't change your stats from character creation. You lock them in, and that's what you get. There's certain things that can give you pluses and minuses here and there. Some of them are temporary. Some of them are cyberware. But apart as far as like lowering it to a 6, you're really giving them an advantage that can break the game, in my opinion. Oh, 8 reflex and a 6 evasion. Oh, my bad, Roland. Good idea. Yeah, actually, you know what? That is interesting. I never considered that because most people will take a 6 evasion anyway. They'll take the max that they can. And when it comes to character creation, I usually tell everybody, like, what gun are you going to use? Okay, make sure that skill is at a 6. Make sure your evasion's at a 6 because you're going to be dodging melee combat. All right, and make sure your perception's high, your conceal reveal. Okay, everything else is up to you. I mean, that's pretty much what I tell people because those are like one of the most important skills. And you know what? I'm going to make a video about important skills and stuff like that in the future. Get a little 5-inch little fan to blow over your phone. Yeah, I could do that, but then you guys would hear the fan the whole time, which is lame. I got to head back to work. All right, Twiggy, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you, dude. All right, I'm back. Hold on. It was sitting in the sun, dude. it got really hot all of a sudden. Let me adjust this thing. There we go. You guys are gonna get a little bit of up close, but at least, oh shit. At least it's not in the sun. All right. It's cool that it let me resume the live chat. There, I'll lean back a little bit. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I was sitting like directly in the sun, and as I'm streaming, it's like warming up my phone as well. So, you know what? Should I do one of these? Yeah, let me rotate. There we go. I think that's a better angle. All right, thank you guys for sticking around. Sorry about that. I appreciate it. Yeah, looks like a bunch of you left, which I don't blame you. But yeah, where were we on this? Having moved from San Antonio to Arizona, I'm guessing I am going to express that even more. Yeah, it's so fucking hot, dude. Water cooling device that cools the back of your phone for gaming. That would be quite. Oh, that's interesting. I'll check that out. Andrew Eversoul says Starfinder does have a deck of planets that works pretty good for creating original story. Thanks for all the great Cyberpunk information. Stay awesome. You too, Andrew. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. Should we end it? Should we end the live chat? It's up to you guys. I know my phone taking a shit on us kind of ruined things. Ruined our flow, but we can end it right now if you guys want. As I said, I've been working on a lot of Cyberpunk stuff. I have stuff that's coming up in the future. I really, really enjoyed that Cyberpunk roundtable kind of thing that we did with all the people on Gary Con. It was awesome, dude. The entire time, my son was in the other room while my sister and dad and her boyfriend, not my sister's boyfriend, not my dad's boyfriend, were watching my kid. I heard like chaos going on in the background. So that was fun. It was fun to be able to do that. Yeah. What else? What else, boys and girls? That's it. Yeah, maybe we should end it. Let's end it. This way I can actually say bye. Instead of just just bouncing on you guys like that. We did an hour chat, no problem. Maybe we'll do another one in the week. I enjoy these a lot. It's really fun. It's easy. I love the interaction with you guys. Mondays is a for sure thing. As far as down the line in the week, we'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, I guess we'll sign out. Thank you so much, Chumbas. I really appreciate the support and love I've been getting from the community, from the Patreon, and all of you. I sincerely wish all of you safety, love, happiness, happy gaming. And if there's anything that my Discord community or I can do to help you to get into Cyberpunk, feel free to ask. We are here for you guys. We really just want to cultivate a good community. We don't want anything back in return. You guys don't have to benefit me in any way in return. All I want to do is grow this community because a big positive community is going to benefit me at the end of the day anyway. So, and it's also a nice thing to do to be helping people out. And I guess I'm that kind of guy, right? Much love, guys. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. Happy gaming. Love you. Bye-bye.